some of these questions we're going to get real quick and short, simple answers, you know, and others we want to elaborate on. As I looked at different questions were presented to us, both by the young Republicans and from the audience. Now, I've kind of clustered some of these together, but there were quite a few questions. We in southern Utah are concerned about our lands. Recently, you know, under Clinton, that's not recently, but Clinton confiscated basically $1 trillion of energy out of the, you know, Escalante, you know, Grand Staircase, and that was school trust land. So much of rural Utah has to do with land and water. What are your feelings on government encroachment on roads, lands, and waters? And Neil, I'll let you go first. This is a 3-minute question. And keep an eye on your timekeeper. She'll give you a 10-second sign, and then she'll wave the Constitution at you.
Great question. This is an issue that impacts all of us. For me personally, I've spent a lot of time on Pine Valley Mountain, and each year it seems as though that the access to that mountain is restricted further and further, with policies that don't make any sense and that unfortunately have promoted, in some cases, the fires like we saw in New Harmony. Let me give another really great example of how the current policy is hurting regular people. I had a very interesting conversation with a gentleman in Wayne County yesterday who his family had a history in the logging industry. They were logging beetle kill on Boulder Mountain, but the federal government has now told them they cannot log anymore. Interestingly, they used to have some pretty good access to some of the high mountain lakes and etc. that were accessed via roads that either trucks or ATVs could get to. And his comment was that what we've done by shutting down that access is prohibited accessibility to those who can't essentially get up on their own 2 feet and walk. And it's not fair. This is access that's been there for generations, and all of a sudden we're taking away people's livelihoods and we're taking away opportunities for people. The public lands management in this that our country is pursuing, it's taking away the opportunity for us to actually utilize and benefit from the land. One thing that I think is a very interesting banter that happened very recently, Alan Gardner talked about how they were so disappointed about the 9 million acres that were announced that were going to go into additional wilderness designations after the Washington County Lands Bill that was supposedly to have settled this issue in Washington County. The next week, SUA wrote an opposing article that said, we never agreed to anything, the Southern Utah Wilderness Alliance. They said, we never agreed to anything, we never backed off from our original position, and ultimately we want all 9 million acres. There is not a negotiation to be had with those, or concessions that we can make with them, because when we make concessions, we essentially give up points that we can't get back. We need to start protecting the lands for the benefit of the people that live in the communities. I think that if we can be successful in getting access to those lands so that Utahns can manage them, that would be the best scenario. In the absence of that, we have to start working towards providing providing more weight to the input that our local communities and the individuals in our communities have. Again, ideally, we would be able to manage them. If not, we should we should at least be in a position where we have more input.
I'm guessing as I look out at most of you that you believe you have a God-given right to be self-reliant. Yes. I would imagine about 100% of you feel that way. 67% of Utah is owned and controlled by the federal government. That is unconstitutional. Not only that, it robs from our state our ability as a sovereign state to be self-reliant, which means you suffer because you can't own your own land. If you ever drive out onto these public lands, you'll notice little signs that say, welcome to your public lands. I have an idea. Let's put on our doors and on our mailboxes a little sign that says, welcome to our public house. Right? Would you truly believe it is yours anymore? If anybody could come and go as they please. And not only that, you could not produce in your garden what you wanted to. That is exactly the situation we face. It is wrong. And not only that, it is against our Enabling Act. As a legislator, we began efforts to try and reclaim those lands, and they are carried on today. One of them is being carried on by a group called the Patrick Henry Caucus, where they are seeking to use eminent domain to reclaim our lands. Unfortunately, you have a congressman, his name is Jim Matheson, and he is actually seeking to create more federal wilderness in the state of Utah rather than reclaim it. That also is a shame. There's a two-tier approach we have to take. Any Iron County residents here? If you're from Iron County and you take your .22 out in your backyard and you shoot a little Utah prairie dog, guess what may happen to you? You may end up in federal prison. That's crazy. You can't dig, you can't shoot, you can't use poison. That hurts our economy. We've got to do two things: attack simple tasks like that one, take away powers like the Antiquities Act, which were given to the president as an abrogation of power by the legislative branch. We've got to cut the budgets of people like BLM who use their power in a way that they should not. And we also need to sponsor bills that actually give land back. And that's the answer.
Thank you.